Okay, so I wanted to be able to control the Moger Fogers using my computer. And there's no MIDI inputs. There's only control voltage, ins and outs, and audio ins and outs on these pedals. So I went looking for a way of doing this. And at first I was looking for something that maybe converted MIDI to control voltage. There are some dedicated devices for that. However, they are quite expensive. And then I discovered somebody was telling me about a program called Motu Volta, which is a really sophisticated piece of software by Motu, which will convert they're basically plugins that you can use with your DAW to produce control voltage. That's basically it. And all you need to have to make it work is what's called a DC coupled audio interface. I don't know all the technical information about what DC coupled really is, but I know that I own one. This is the Alesis IO26. It's 26 inputs, basically 8 analog inputs and 8 analog outputs. And all of the 8 analog outputs are DC coupled, which means I can set it up to use control voltage. I mentioned Motu Volta, but I'm actually not using that software. I think it was a little bit too intimidating for me. It's really powerful, but there were just so many bells and whistles that I was kind of scared off. And so I ended up going with another program called Silent Way by Expert Sleepers, and I'll give you a little demonstration of that software in just a bit. First off, I want to show you my patch bay because as you can see in the back of the Moger Fogers, there's a bunch of patch cables, and those are all patched into this patch bay, so I have easier access. I'm not damaging any of the ports on the pedals themselves. And then another thing that's patched in to the patch bay are the Alesis IO26 outputs. Okay, so here's the first 4, and I've got 2 patch cables here that are set up to control different elements of the Moger Fogers. So the first one, the blue cable that you see here, is the first output from the IO26 going to the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. Okay, so that's what's plugged in here. The second one is it's the second output from the IO26 going into the mix of the ring modulator, so I can actually control how much is dry signal and how much is wet signal from the ring modulator. Both of them are turned on. Okay, that's what the green lights on the bottom are. This is turned off. I'm not using this pedal for right now. Let's go over to the screen here. Here's that sound again. And in one of my channels, I called it CV. I have this Silent Way program set up here. And I'll show you the most basic of the basic parts of the software here. Here's okay, it's kind of a muddy sound, and part of the reason it's a muddy sound is I have the low pass filter, the cutoff frequency turned all the way down. So I'm gonna turn the hardware knob now. And so it's a basic filtering effect. Well, now what I'm able to do with the Silent Way is actually turn the knobs from my computer. So, I'm sorry, I got to turn this on. Okay, so what I can actually do is I can turn that knob from my computer. I can also turn up the ring modulator from the computer. So it's essentially like I'm turning the knobs over there without actually turning the knobs. Well, this gives me lots of cool options. So for instance, here's a step sequencer with nothing in it. And I'm just sort of drawing randomly here a couple of different parts of the step sequence. Okay, pretty random. You'll notice my tempo is set to 70. and I can change the tempo on the fly, which made for it was I just gave me a lot more control over the sound, and so I could actually tempo sync some of these filter sweeps. And so you can see that I can also control the amount of the ring modulator with the right channel and the cutoff frequency with the left channel here. And so there's a number of different things that I could do here. One last little demonstration that I have. You can also set up a basic LFO, okay, and show you what this device looks like. Here's an LFO, and you can see it's just in this case a sine wave, and it's got this dial that's moving automatically. Let me turn off that for just a minute. I'll explain what's going on there. Here's the basic sine wave. Adjusted just a little bit, but you can hear that cutoff frequency actually changing. This is just it's really basic LFO, okay, and it's being sent out to the Moog Foggers just like the other devices were. Well, then Max for Live actually includes an LFO which allows me to turn knobs. And so I'm actually turning the knob here, the speed of the LFO, but I can have Max for Live do this for me automatically. Basically to give it a nice kind of variable effect, something that's a little bit more random, something that maybe a little bit more unpredictable. But hopefully you can see some of the power at my fingertips here. The combination of an analog synthesizer with these analog filters, analog ring modulator, all this sort of stuff, but also being able to control all the analog stuff with my computer is just amazing to be able to do. You might also hear a little bit that my voice is going through these effects, and so it doesn't have to necessarily be a synthesized signal. It can also be any input that you can think of. I can also, in the same spirit, send audio from my computer through these devices as well. So let me just do that really quickly. I did a bit of this demonstration before. So there's the wet signal, here's the dry signal, here's a combination. And so this concludes this this demonstration of using a computer for control voltage, programming the synthesizer to a small degree, and stay tuned. I'll have a couple of more gear demonstrations before long. Thank you.